Well, we told you about Blaze News, the mandate. Actually, Matthew Peterson broke the news over on Glenn Beck's program when we were still in Washington, D.C. And here we are delivering the first one. It's exciting to look ahead and see everything that we're about to be able to do here.
Yeah, I mean, this is, just as we're doing it, feeling the energy of, everything that just occurred in Washington, D.C. and the focus of the entire country on really the most important thing politically, which is whether or not he can do this, whether or not he and his administration can come in and roll this thing back, and to be able to have the privilege of being here, talking about that every night and focusing on it is going to be incredible. We're going to bring in all kinds of experts and, a little new structure to the show. So in the beginning, Jill is going to run down the agenda.
Yeah, we're going to make sure that everybody, there's going to be so many good things that Donald Trump says, right? We know we have to document that. That is all part of the fun as well. And then get right into a deep dive interview with somebody that is a subject matter expert, right? The confirmation hearings are going on right now. They're attacking Pete Hegseth, Brett Kavanaugh, anyone, right? We want to go in and look at that and say, why are they doing this? Who is doing this and why?
Yeah, and it's important that we explain along the way, and we all learn together who does rule us and how. Because let me tell you, you can think you're really smart and be very educated, right, in this country, or people who are very connected and have a boatload of money. No one, almost everyone has the same question. Who actually is ruling me? Who are these people, and how do they do it? Because it doesn't matter who we vote in and out, right? Well, that's what the Trump administration is going to try to stop, and that's what we're going to come every night prepared to show you and go a little deeper with people who know what they're talking about and can explain, here's what RFK is going to do to make America healthy again, but here's how the FBA has been run, right? Here's the hierarchy there. Here's the obstacle. They can't just go in and fire everyone. What are they going to do? That's the kind of thing we need to do in the spotlight, and put in the spotlight and show who the good and bad guys are and explore.
Yeah, and give the props to some of the good guys, because I don't think that we're that good at doing that in conservative media. So we want to make sure that you do point out when people do things good. But I think, unfortunately, there are going to be a lot more people doing bad things that'll be prominently featured on this show as well. But then we want to hear from you as well. So every episode, we're going to try and go through some question and answer. I put a poll out on X earlier today. Let's go ahead and take a look at this, because I was asking, how likely is it that Donald Trump will successfully dismantle the deep state over the next 4 years? And actually, somewhat likely was the big winner at 49%, not likely up next, and then very likely followed by no chance. So the black pills are at the very bottom, as they should be right now, because people are still riding high. But 49% of people right now saying that it is somewhat likely, at least, that Donald Trump will dismantle the deep state. Yeah,
look, it's really important, as Jill's saying, that we hear from everyone out there a lot more and have more interaction with our audience, so we can bring you what you want. So you're into the show, you like what we're saying, on Twitter's probably the best, easiest way now to throw in some questions, and Jill's going to be saying a lot more back and forth online and otherwise, and we'll bring your comments and questions to the show and answer them. I think with the poll, that strikes me as, I don't know how representative it is, but it does strike me as representative. About a third of people are just black-pilled, saying, you know what, 6% say no chance. The rest are like, yeah, not likely. And that's okay. At the bar, around the bar, there's like a third of people are just kind of grumpy old men, and they're like, this is impossible. And that's plausible because it hasn't happened yet, right? Yeah. And then you get the other people like, well, I actually am cautiously optimistic. Right?
I think that we ran into a lot of the people that voted very likely in Washington, D.C. this weekend. They were very excited in our nation's capital this weekend. But then we're going to end the show because Matthew Peterson is so smart. He knows all the people, all the players that are connected. And I want him to leave us with some action steps every day, or just some final thoughts, because there is so much going on. And there's right now, just why should they watch the show? What's the reasoning behind this?
Well, what we want to do at the end is especially point out anything that you can do or I can do to actually take action, as Jill's saying, in the midst of this great battle. But the first thing that we should talk about in the very first show, where we talk about the mandate, is that the first action everyone needs to take is just awareness and understanding. We have to understand what the real issues are politically. We got to get out of this mindset of what we're talking about is rooting for, we're cheerleading Republicans and Democrats. This is really about refounding America. America. I mean, Glenn Beck just today called Donald Trump a refounder. This has already been refounded, this country, in a way where they really bent the original Constitution out of whack and almost out of recognition. So until we recognize that fact, which I know many of our audience does, then the question is, what do we do about that? And the first thing we have to do is understand the situation we're in order to be responsible citizens and to know who to vote for, right? But also a lot of other action steps that we can take throughout our life. And the problem with the rest of mainstream media today is that they're not focused on what's really important. They don't care about, getting rid of this agency at the State Department that actually was getting rid of free speech throughout the country. They're not going to chase down those details. And even many other conservative media outlets, they're sort of like here today with the headlines and whatever's going on. And it's all shiny object syndrome. We don't care about that because we know what you don't care about that because what you care about, same thing we care about, which is Donald Trump and his administration going to be able to implement the mandate that this entire nation just gave them? And that's the only thing that matters, and that's why we will focus on that in every way, and we'll entertain and educate as we go. So I'm just honored, privileged to be here and to be focused on this, and I think that we're going to see some amazing things in the next few years together. But at the end of the day, none of it matters unless that mandate is implemented. So let me say this, finally, and this is what's important, I think, to all of us. At the end of the day, the administration itself will need to be held accountable. At the end of the day, it's not even about Donald Trump, as incredible a figure, as a statesman as he has become and is becoming before our eyes. It's about the mandate of the people and whether or not Trump is able to affect it. And, as they move forward, we will keep an eye on all of that, and we will keep an eye on whoever doesn't have their back, and we'll look at who the good and bad guys are as this great battle unfolds before us.
America is about to celebrate her 250th birthday. It's going to be a great thing. But one of the things that we've learned over that period of time is that you have to call things out by name, right? Ronald Reagan called the axis of evil what it was. Donald Trump famously goes out there and says fake news, right? You have to say this is wrong and this is right. And that's one of the things that we're going to try to do here on this show, and just make sure, because this is going to be a very small window of time that we have in the history of this 250 years. This is going to be some of the most important days, weeks, months, and hopefully years that we can push back against that administrative state.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly right. And this is crunch time. And it's not over. It's just beginning. But the great thing about it is it's going to be an amazing and, dare I say, volatile journey. And that's what's so exciting about it. And you are needed. You are needed. You have to be aware and be a responsible citizen to support Trump and what he's trying to do.
The volatility will still increase.